Guys, welcome back to another NFR episode, and in today's episode, Lou and I are going to be going through some of the best genres of all time and deciding what is our favorite song from each of these genres, with a couple of honorable mentions as well. But guys, if it's your first time watching NFR podcast, smash the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell because we will be uploading videos just like this on a weekly basis. Also, if you guys want to see us go into different genres, talk about our different rotations that are outside of hip-hop, we have a bunch of different episodes that we've released on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, such as our favorite non-rap music right now, which we released on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. If you guys want to check it out, check the link in the description and check the pinned comment. It's going to take you guys towards our audio podcast catalog. But Lou, let's start this up, all right? Because,
yes, sir.
You know, you and I talk a lot about hip-hop. Obviously, you guys know that if you're subscribed to the channel. But, I mean, we've done different episodes like our top 10 list where we go through our favorite songs of all time, and we've talked about our favorite artists of all time. But I think it's going to be cool for today's episode to go through some different genres, like reggae, for example, jazz music, pop music, which is so general because you could get anything to like kind of fit into pop, but you guys get the point, and go through our favorites of each and every single subgenre. So let's start off with rap, all right? Because we've done this list before. I think everyone knows where I'm at with it. I know where you're at with it, but just for the sake of the show, we reveal it.
Absolutely. So your number one would be Fear, right?
Absolutely.
By Kendrick.
Yeah, that's a lock. I've talked about the song so many different times in the podcast episode. That's an automatic lock. But some songs that are in contention, I don't think they'll ever be in contention, but whatever. The World Is Yours by Nas, that's definitely up there. Another song that I would say is probably Lightspeed by Dr. Dre off of 2001. Waves by Joey Badass, that's a big one for me as well. Personal favorite.
Waves would be in like a top 10 personal favorites?
Like personal favorites for me, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. The Question by Mac Miller would be a personal favorite.
I would low-key take False Prophets over Waves. I know it's a hot take, but I think I would. I think I really would. But yeah, all good honorable mentions. My favorite song from one of my favorite albums of all time is Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe by Kendrick, which you guys saw in the earlier episode that we had done. Incredible production, incredible storyline. Honorable mentions from this category. Everyday Struggle by Biggie is a big one for me.
Did you include that in your top 10, by the way?
I think it was there, yeah.
I believe it was.
The Light by Common, Can't Tell Me Nothing by Kanye West. I also have Work by Gangstar. That's one of my favorites of all time as well.
It's a big one.
What else? Electric Relaxation by Tribe Called Quest.
One of your favorites.
In terms of like chill hip-hop songs, I don't know if it gets any better than that, to be honest with you. But listen, we've gone through our favorite hip-hop stuff time and time again, but let's get more interesting with this. Let's go on to the pop genre. And with pop music, like you were saying, it's a bit fucked up because it's not categorized by like any musical characteristics per se, where it's not like a certain sonic direction or palette. It's more categorized by like how accessible the music is, how high it's charting, how popular it is, essentially.
Did you have like sort of a litmus test for this where you're like, it had to meet these criterias in order for me to be able to bring it in for today?
Absolutely. But I mean, I feel like with certain artists, you could tell right away that they are known as pop artists, like a Michael Jackson, like an Ariana Grande. Like, there's certain artists that fit that mold musically, and that like even within the way they format and like sort of make their songs, there's like a formula to it.
Well,
with
you know,
pop songs.
While I do agree, I also disagree because while doing like a bit of digging and going through my catalogs and stuff like that, I went through Rolling Stone's list of like the best, pop songs of all time, just to get a gauge of like what people are talking about. And they included Earth, Wind and Fire, September, for example. But like that's a pure soul song,
Yeah.
So then you're kind of like, well, what are you really constituting? So what I decided to do is that I chose songs that were just uber popular, songs that were played around my household, songs that the entire music community could get to. And my favorite of all time is Don't Stop Till You Get Enough by Michael Jackson. Ultimately, that's going to be my number one
All right,
pick.
so you got an off-the-wall pick with that
I
one,
went with the off-the-wall pick.
I got an off-the-wall pick as well,
What do you
bro.
got? Oh, so you got
I
the
have
other
Rock
one, eh?
with you. I got
so
Rock with you.
Okay, so we went with like the
we went with
polar
the
opposites.
1-2.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't Stop Till You Get Enough is a good pick because I feel like that's like a Michael Jackson song where you're like, holy shit, I've never heard him sing this high pitch.
Well, not only that,
before.
but it
Like,
also
the falsetto's nuts.
It marks one of the first times that him and Quincy Jones actually worked together. And if you guys are actually familiar with the Quincy Jones documentary, it'll explain the entire collaboration between Michael and Quincy. Quincy obviously produced this track. The instrumental is absolutely incredible. And funny enough, do you know the little bridge part of Don't Stop Till You Get Enough? That wasn't supposed to be in there. That was like a last minute call that ended up making like the final master. So I always found that really cool, but I love the groove to it. And actually Michael Jackson's mom didn't like it. Didn't like the song because apparently she said that the hook was too on the line of being sexual or not. and she was a Jehovah Witness, so she didn't like that type of content matter from Michael. So she was like really had like
keep MJ's mom out the studio, bro.
And she was like, no, like you can't release this. And look, like it ends up becoming one of his biggest ever, most iconic hits too.
Thank God.
I think it's his second #1 hit single on the Hot 100 as well. So
yeah, it is.
It's an all-time classic.
And Rock With You is actually, I'm pretty sure, his third ever #1 hit on the Hot 100. But yeah, thank God he stuck to his guns on that one and released it. But yeah, Rock With You. I love the warm and earthy atmosphere that you're getting with this song. I love the woozy synths that sort of open it up as well. And I think that when it comes to this song, it's just such an infectious fucking hook. And what I like about it too is that it's not like too over the top of a Michael Jackson performance in the sense that like his delivery vocally is super feathery, it's smooth, it's delicate, while still having like this discreet confidence to it. And if this song doesn't make you want to get up on your feet and fucking jiggle your body, there's something wrong with you.
Jiggle your body, Lucy.
Jiggle the fucking body. If you're not doing that, bro, if you're not getting down with it,
but I think yeah. Listen, as far as my favorites, like when I started off listening to pop, like it was all Michael Jackson from my father and my mother. Like, so I had to probably go towards there. Any honorable mentions? Were you looking at any other selections?
Absolutely. Back to Black by Amy Winehouse, which is considered technically a pop song, even though there's inspirations of blues and other genres. So that was a big one for me. Get Lucky by Daft Punk and Pharrell Williams. Yeah,
that's a big one. That was one that was going to make my list as well.
One of the best bass lines I've ever listened to. Other great like synth pop songs, because that's like a nice subgenre of pop. I had Don't You Want Me by the Human League, which I absolutely love, and also True Faith by New Order. Love like those songs really captured like the spirit of 80s synth pop. So I wanted to give those some mentions. And also Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, bro.
Yes.
Like, even though that's a remix of the Dolly Parton song, like, I don't know if I've ever heard a better vocal performance by a vocalist on a pop song. Like, the powerful crescendos, everything.
It's beautiful.
Incredible.
It's absolutely beautiful. But for myself, like I had said before, if you want to consider September by Earth, Wind and Fire a pop song, I mean, it's a mega hit at this point.
Why wouldn't you put that in the other category of soul?
Just because, like, it's so on the fence. Like, I know it's a soul song, and you could say that, but I have other soul songs that I prefer above it. But you could classify it as a pop song because it was massive for its time. It charted highly. Like, it was really a staple in music for that time. And, like, there are people that consider it a pop song. So
would you go September or Boogie Wonderland from...
No, I go September.
From Earth, Wind & Fire, yeah.
Honestly, another honorable mention, and I don't know if this is a cheesy take or not, but Bad Romance by Lady Gaga. That I find that... No, I'm fucking with you. Let's keep going on with this, okay?
You're not. No. I'm speaking
No, I swear to God. All right, let's go into the R&B section, all right? So what do you got for R&B, okay? Because I've listened to a lot of different R&B. I had to go through alternative R&B, like 90s R&B. I had a bunch of different little, like, certain subgenres that I went through with, at least for this one. So any honorable mentions? What do you got here?
I mean, man, when it comes to R&B, I'm looking for nice grooves. I'm looking for really emotive performances from the vocalists. And, like, for me, the golden age of R&B, which I'm sure it is for a lot of people, it is like the 90s decade and the 2000s decade.
Yeah,
so
a lot of
that's where I found most of my treasures. The song that I ended up going with, which shouldn't be a surprise because I've spoken about it before, it is X Factor by Lauryn Hill. I just feel like with this song, I can feel every single pain point by Lauryn Hill. I can feel the deep love she has for her partner. Every emotion, every feeling she's trying to evoke ends up connecting with you with this song. And I love how the organs and the drums just perfectly match Lauryn's rhythmic timing on this. And even her octave changes are just incredible on this song. My favorite off of Miseducation, and it's probably my favorite R&B song as well. It was neck and neck with this one and Didn't You Know by Erykah Badu.
Didn't You Know is definitely in
those
there.
Are my like top two.
X Factor is as well in my honorable mentions. How Does It Feel by D'Angelo? That's another big one for me as well. White Ferrari by Frank Ocean.
That's number one?
No. That's going to be another honorable mention for me. But if you guys have been watching the podcast, you guys know how much I love this song. And I'm going to go Kiss of Life by Sade. That's going to be my number one.
I didn't bring any Sade as like honorable mentions because I knew you would have it as your number one.
But that's one of my all-time favorite songs. It's absolutely blissful. I prefer the extended version because there is a radio version out there. I believe it clocks in at like 4 minutes 20. The extended version has like that outro of the instrumental. And if you guys are obviously familiar with Operations Doomsday, MF Doom ended up sampling this for his album, and it's iconic. You know, and what's crazy is that it's not even like the most popular song off of this album, but it's like the most critically acclaimed, if that makes sense to you, where it's like everyone fucking knows how beautiful this is just because of how passionate production it is, how beautiful like the layers of the song is, even just like the way that it's structured and like just the way that Sade bleeds in and out of her verses, going right into back of that iconic hook. It's something incredible, and I love getting my day started with it. If I'm being honest with you, it's just one of those feel good songs that you have to show your kids this. It's pure love. Like you cannot go around the record this like this well crafted. So I wanted to bring that in for today. But let's keep going on.
I'm gonna go through my honorable mentions.
Okay, you didn't go through yours.
Pink and White by Frank Ocean.
I knew you were gonna bring that in. Actually,
Until the End of Time by Justin Timberlake. I'm not a big JT fan at all, but that song is just beautiful. Don't by Bryson Tiller. One in a Million by Aaliyah. And what else? That's it. I went with X Factor just because I never like thought that a song about a toxic ex could ever make me as happy as that one did. So I love the song. But let's keep on going. Next genre that we have is gonna be rock, and this was like the first genre that I really gravitated towards. Like obviously when you're a kid, you're in the whip a lot, the radio's playing, and pop is again the most accessible music for you. But because my parents came from the decades of the 70s and 80s where rock was sort of like the mecca. It was the ultimate high for music in terms of popularity of genres. That's what I was put onto. And for me, it was a lot of hard rock that I was listening to, a lot of classic rock, a lot of mainstream stuff, to be honest with you, for the most part.
Even for myself, a lot of progressive rock as well.
Yeah.
My father wasn't too big into metal either. That was never something that I really explored all that much. But for myself, for my honorable mentions, what do I got here? I got Red Barchetta by Rush. I've explained that on the channel a bunch of different times. Money by Pink Floyd. I love the cash register. The cash register and like that iconic guitar riff is so fucking sick. There's really nothing like it. Then after that, Eminence Front by The Who. I brought that into my top 10 favorite songs episode. I explained it. It's absolutely incredible. Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. That's another one for me that I'm always playing. Hysteria by Def Leppard. That's an ultimate classic for me as well. Thunderstruck by AC/DC. I mean, that's one of like my first ever like rock songs that I ever heard. My father put me onto Razor's Edge a long time ago. And then after that, probably Go by Asia. That's another big one for me as well, personal favorite. But how about you? Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Stairway to Heaven by Zeppelin, or Immigrant Song, or even 10 Years Gone. All those Zeppelin songs are fantastic. Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd also cracked my top 10 list. What else do I have? Gimme Shelter or Painted Black, both those songs by the Stones.
Sympathy for the Devil as well for me as well.
Can't Stop by Red Hot Chili Peppers. A Child in Time by Deep Purple. Great long 10-minute cut. Love the progression of that one. And I was stuck between. Well, I wasn't stuck between. Ultimately, it's Hotel California by the Eagles, which I spoke about ad nauseum.
Would you consider that a pop song? You could consider it a pop.
It is. It's a diamond song. Like, it's fucking massive.
You could consider it a pop song.
But yeah, that's my all-time favorite. And then "Don't Cry" by Guns N' Roses, another song that I absolutely love.
Don't Cry, yes. Even November Rain.
I don't know if you know that. Yeah, November Rain's great too.
November Rain's.
I don't know if you know the backstory behind "Don't Cry," but pretty much what ended up happening was that Axl Rose and Izzy Stradlin were dating the same girl in 1991, and the girl didn't want to pick which guy she was gonna be with, and she ended up sitting down on like a park bench with Axl Rose and saying, "Don't cry, Bill, but I'm not going with you." And then they ended up co-writing the song together.
That's great.
They ended up burying the hatchet, I suppose, and they wrote the song together about this real life situation they went through. So I love when like a real life story sort of influences art the way that this one did. And I loved hearing Axl Rose get as soft as he did.
It's a really nice hook.
Yeah.
It's a really, really
love
nice
that
hook.
song.
What else do I got? What else can I give you guys in my rock playlist? I got so much shit. Hold on a second. Let me open up the Legacy playlist. This is crazy. I got a lot. Roundabout by Yes. That's another one for me.
Nice.
Also from Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart. That's a classic. Bubba O'Reilly by The Who. That's an all-time classic as well. That would be an honorable mention. All Along the Watchtower. Tom Sawyer by Rush. Limelight as well. Come As You Are by Nirvana. That's another big one for me as well. Where the Streets Have No Names by U2. What else do I got? Everlong by Foo Fighters. That's another one that I absolutely love. Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith. That's a big one as well. So yeah, ultimately I went with Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. I mean, I called it a top 3 favorite song of mine of all time, and it's for a good reason. I mean, just the movie scores that it's been in, and how iconic it's been through my media consumption. And just it's so fucking sick. There's a really cool story about how the vocalist got behind that song actually. And how passionate her vocals are. and like there was like a story of like how they got her to be able to get those vocals done for the song. I think there's an interview out if you want to go watch it. But all right, let's go into electronic music. All right, so Lou and I speaking about EDM. I think that the time has come. Fuck it, let's rip it. And if you guys don't know, I have been to a load of EDM sets. My most recent one that I actually really enjoyed was at Picnic in Montreal, and Montreal has a massive EDM scene. Huge. We have incredible venues over here. I went to Dead Mouse back in the month of, was it October or September? Anyways, Fagella bought me tickets for my birthday. I think it was end of September, and it was an incredible set, beautiful set. And with that being said, let me go through some honorable mentions that I have. The Velt by Dead Mouse, obviously that's a big one for me. Music Sounds Better by You by Stardust, that's a big one for me as well. If you want to consider electronic music, that was another one that I had in there. You, what else do you got in there, man?
Honorable mentions for myself. I have. One of my favorites is "Be Your Girl," which is an R&B song by Tidra Moses that was remixed by K Trinata, and he turned into like a dance club sort of record. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Unreleased on Spotify, unfortunately. Another one of my favorites is the French house song "Lady Hear Me Tonight," which, of course, if you played Grand Theft Auto 5, you would have heard that on that radio. And oh man, the amount of times spent driving through Los Santos, bumping it in the Adder, infinite amount of times. Love that song.
Is it the Adder?
The Adder. That's the name for like the Bugatti-inspired car.
Or is it the Adler?
I think it's the Adder. I think it's ADDER, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. I haven't played.
But yeah, just the synth stabs in that song, absolutely electrifying.
For myself as well, Vivid Dreams by K Trinata. That's another one that I brought in as far as my honorable mentions. But as your number one,
my number one had to be Levels by Avicii, the original version.
That was fire. Shout out to Eastville. That's where Lou and I went to elementary school. That was a big moment for us. But I went.
That's like the one song that like really like piqued my interest in EDM and house music as a whole. So
for me, it's gonna be Silhouettes by Avicii. Released a year after.
Beautiful.
I've always been a bigger fan of Silhouettes, and
you think it's because there's more vocals incorporated into the track? I mean, you also get the Etta James sample in Levels, but it's not like super prominent, you know?
I don't know. I guess because like electronic music is so like it's so big. Like you could go all the way to like the 80s and choose picks for this. And like I guess it depends like when we grew up and like what our personal favorites are. But you know, I have another cool story. Rest in peace to Avicii, one of my favorite artists of all time. I had the pleasure of seeing him live back when I was 12 years old in Montreal at the Bell Center. And it was a 16+ show, so I wasn't allowed to go in there. But like my dad looked at the security guard and he's like, "Bro, I bought these tickets. Like, let him in." And like I got in, and I ended up through. And I think I still have the merchandise that I bought from that show.
Was it a sold out Bell Center show?
No,
like
so basically they opened up the floor. There was definitely seats everywhere. So they did like, if you guys have ever been to the Bell Center or an arena as a whole, they did half of like the ice.
Yeah,
and then after that they had the stage there. The entirety of the rest of the floor was filled up, obviously, and then all around Avicii was, like in the red section, where the rest of the tickets. But yeah, it was an incredible performance. We didn't stay very long because I didn't really understand what was going on all that much. You know, I'm like, when's Silhouettes playing? I'm just looking around. When the fuck is Levels playing? But yeah, Silhouettes, man. I mean, one of my favorite songs of all time. A song that I still play today. And what's interesting is that there was rumors that this song released by under an alias in 2011 that was not Avicii. And it was apparently called Flash by Tatana and Scaloni. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this story. It doesn't come from the most credible blog, but when I did my research, like there was multiple sources on Reddit that were saying it as well, which I found cool. But yeah, it's just incredible. The build-up is fantastic. The chorus is awesome because, you know, you get this sort of feeling of triumphantness and also like not looking back on your past and kind of marinating in the silhouette. So I absolutely love it. That would probably be my favorite. But you, Lou?
Yeah, like I said, Levels. I mean, fuck the radio edit. You really need to listen to the original 5-minute plus version to really hear the epic buildup of that song. And I love everything about it. I love the fact that it's a song about literally elevation and, you know, elevation in the sense of like just sort of upping your craft the way that Avicii did with that breakout song, as well as like, you know, within the actual instrumentation, like he just compiles more and more elements as the song progresses. And I love the fact that he's able to so swiftly sort of make the Etta James sample vocals fade out and then come back in. Incredible song. And it got me, it got me into the genre.
Yeah. All right, we're going to country, man. Let's do it.
By the way, Lose Yourself to Dance by Daft Punk, another honorable mention, with Pharrell. But yeah, country music. I mean, listen, I'm really no expert when it comes to country music.
You know what, man?
Bro, it never clicked for me as a genre. Maybe if we were raised in Nashville or we grew up on a farm, like maybe.
No, but even like, besides that, there's huge, like I know there's a huge community also in Alberta.
We also have the Lasso Festival in Montreal, which is a big deal. Like that's a massive festival in the city for us. I've never attended.
I guess it was because like no one in my family ever bumped country music. Like I am literally oblivious to the genre. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't even have honorable mentions. I don't even want to lie to you guys. I would never do that on the podcast.
I did a bit of research, but before the episode, I'm like, you know what? And I actually gave like half of a country album a listen. The new Zach Bryan album. I'm sure you heard of it from last year.
Yeah, it's one of the best streaming albums of 2023.
It's one of the best streaming albums. I'm like, fuck it, let me give this a chance.
And how was it?
It was pretty good. I can't lie. For country music, a lot of like deep poetry. Love the raw vocals from him. I was like pleasantly surprised by that album. So. That was pretty cool.
This is the problem with me in country music is that I am so oblivious.
Yeah.
The only song that I do know is from Johnny Cash, and that's because my uncle was a Johnny Cash fan.
Okay, fine.
And like he was not a country fan; he was a Johnny Cash fan. Like
okay,
it wasn't like so. I never really went anywhere else. So I don't have any honorable mentions. The only one that I could really bring in based on my music taste and what I've heard. I've heard multiple songs, but just to say, as I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash, yeah, that's definitely probably my favorite at this point. I mean, if you're just a music fan as a whole, you have to know. Yeah, you have to know this song. It's absolutely historic. And apparently, like, are you familiar with the guitar riff on the song?
I don't remember it like as of right now, but if I were to hear it, sure.
So there's a fucked up story behind it because apparently, like I believe Johnny Cash's tape recorder was backwards, and then that's how they ended up getting like the guitar loop for it, which I always found pretty cool. But it's really sick because when you go through the song, Johnny Cash talking about being accountable, talking about keeping faith with his wife. I believe at the time it was, hold on a second. It was his first wife's name was Vivian Loberto. So he was proclaiming his love for this woman. And then after that, he ended up remarrying, and he ended up going with another woman called June Carter. Okay. And so Liberto would later on write a book called I Walk the Line, and it went fucking crazy and talked about her relationship with Johnny Cash playing into this song, which I found pretty cool when I was doing it.
Sounds like a Real Housewives episode.
Like something crazy about it. But before that, I believe that he was actually stationed in Germany, bro, a part of like the United States Air Force, while he like made this song apparently, which I found really cool. But yeah, most I if I had to bring something in, it would be this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for all the country fans.
But you know what? The beauty of this episode as a whole, and of course it applies to the genre, is like, guys, put us on. If you're really like deep into any of these genres, drop some suggestions in the comments. Open our ears to more, because that's the beauty of having an amazing community that is as tapped in as you guys are. So much love for that. But only one honorable mention for me, and it's going to be You're Still the One by Shania Twain, Canadian artist who played often on like Virgin Radio and a lot of radio stations that were local to us. Really nice song about unconditional love. Love the emotive chorus. It's very nice on the ears, and it's kind of a pop country song that a non-country fan can easily get into, I would say. Probably. But yeah, my choice is going to be The Gambler by Kenny Rogers, which is a classic country song. I think I actually was put onto this song because I was watching an interview with, I think it was Daniel Negreanu, who's the poker player, and this song is actually literally a storytelling track about a man who meets a professional gambler on a train, and the professional gambler sees that this man is down, he's not really in high spirits, so he gives him life advice through poker strategy, which I found a really interesting sort of narrative for a song. I went into it, really enjoyed the production, really enjoyed the storyline, of course, that starts from the beginning of the track. You're immersed into this story and the scene, and I could see why it is a classic for the genre. So was really just immersed by the story.
Gonna have to go listen to that after.
Yeah, really cool song.
All right, let's go into reggae. All right, so I've always been a big fan of reggae. My uncle was a massive fan as well. My uncle Carl was a man of many talents, and one thing was his music taste. He was a big fan of Frank Zappa. He was a big fan of Peter Tosh, who I'm gonna be talking about. He's a big fan of Led Zeppelin and anyone and everyone you can name. And while my father was a lot more strict with his music taste, he would allow me to be able to like break out into different genres. And something that he did introduce to me was just the love of reggae. And I'm not gonna say I'm the biggest reggae expert, or I know catalogs of reggae artists like I do for hip hop, but I do have certain songs that I go back to here and there. But my ultimate
You have a
favorite.
playlist?
I do have a
Yeah,
playlist,
nice.
actually. I do have a playlist. But my ultimate favorite song, and it is absolutely no debate, is Dread or Alive by Peter Tosh. And I've played this song for you. It's absolutely incredible. And it's one of my favorite choruses of all time out of any genre, out of any other song. Peter Tosh's chorus on this song is absolutely incredible, talking about how the evil forces want him and, like, how they want him dead or alive. Talking about his dreads, obviously, and just it's a beautifully written song, and it's very simplistic. I mean, the chorus is like literally the same length as the verses as well, and like you get the chorus multiple times coming in and out. Obviously, you get that classic reggae production, and what I find so cool about reggae is that, like, if you pay attention to the rhythmic timing of the production and like the vocals, and this is something that we actually learned in music class, it's completely different, and like it's so offsetting to the point to where it works almost. And that's what I love about it. It's so relaxing to listen to. It's so peaceful and bliss to listen to. And I absolutely adore this song. And I remember it as well because of my late Uncle Carl. So I wanted to bring that in today. That's my pick. What do you got?
Pick. Honorable mentions for me. I have Kingston Town by UB40, which is a great song, very popular song, and it really puts you in the heart of the capital of Jamaica, and I just love the hook on it. Then you have Jah Give Us Life by Wailing Souls, another song which is actually from a Jamaican vocal group. Which is often, sort of interesting for me in reggae. So I loved seeing, just the way that all their vocals sort of supported each other for that song. And even the message about, like, sort of living your life to the fullest and not making, things that are out of your control get in the way.
Yeah.
Love the message on that one. But ultimately, you guys saw this in my top 10 songs of all time.
Three Little Birds.
Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. I've spoken about it at length. Just a beautiful song with so much rich symbolism hidden within it. And I love reggae as a genre just because to me it is the most chill and relaxing music that you could listen to. It's my favorite shit to put on when I'm on vacation. I just want to sort of close my eyes and be in the sun and just enjoy
the ambiance,
enjoy the atmosphere. Absolutely. And like you said, I just love the fact that vocalists in reggae have that opportunity to sort of rhythmically be on their own time and be as patient and as slow with their delivery as they want to be.
Absolutely, and that's what I really love about reggae as a whole. But let's go on to jazz music, all right?
Yes,
Talking
sir.
about a very relaxing, genre of music. Whenever I think about jazz music, I think about my grandfather. So I hold this genre very close to my heart as well. Whenever he would drive me to school in the morning, or whenever he would drive me wherever it was to like my part-time jobs, he would always be playing CBC's Jazz at Night radio, which was really cool because we got to listen to a bunch of different stuff. I bought him Kinda Blue by Miles Davis on CD at the Jazz Festival here in Montreal. If you guys have never had the opportunity to go to the Jazz Festival in Montreal, please do yourselves a favor. It is a magnificent thing. Even if you're not into the genre, the live performances, the food, the culture, the people, everything about it is absolutely incredible. But some honorable mentions for myself: Corcovado, Quiet Nights of Quiet Stars by Stan Getz and João Gilberto. I spoke about this song on a recent episode that we did about the Grammys. If you guys want to check it out, it's in the catalog right now. I spoke about the Stan Getz and João Gilberto album as a whole. Incredible album, just what a song. It's absolutely incredible. As far as another one, In a Sentimental Mood by Duke Ellington and John Coltrane.
Beautiful. That's
another one that I have. If you guys are familiar with Diablo by Mac Miller, obviously it's sampled in there. Romance by Hiroshi Suzuki. This was some Japanese jazz that released in the mid-'70s. I've spoken about this as well on the audio podcast. And then after that, When I Fall in Love by Bill Evans Trio. Bill Evans is one of my favorite instrumentalists of all time. The piano on this song is it's mesmerizing. But how about you? Any honorable mentions? What do you got?
Honorable mentions, yeah. I brought in, let me see here. I brought in one honorable mention, actually. I brought in Spain by Chick Corea, and song by Chick Corea, who was actually a jazz pianist, part of Miles Davis's band in the 60s. Incredible song just because it's sort of a jazz fusion where you're getting a more fast tempo jazz record that also brings in these flamenco guitars and these Latin strings, and it just has a very unique flavor for a jazz record. And for that reason, I loved it, as well as sort of the spontaneous direction the song goes into and how much improvisation was thrown into that track. But ultimately, your number one is going to be Kind of Blue, correct?
Blue and Green.
Blue and Green. Okay, and then mine is going to be My One and Only Love by Johnny Harmon and John Coltrane.
Yeah, so you had mentioned that you enjoyed that album as a whole off of a recent episode that I did. And Blue and Green, if you guys watch my top 10 favorite songs of all time, this is my number one. It's my favorite song of all time. It's just like, it's tuning for the soul, you know, whatever problem you have, whether you're feeling accomplished, whether you're feeling defeated, whether you're feeling anxious, whether you're feeling relaxed, it doesn't matter. This is a song that you could literally legitimately play in every single setting. And just like how incredible the composition is, and like what Bill Evans did for this song is incredible. Miles Davis on the saxophone, just incredible stuff all around. So one of my favorite songs of all time. I've spoken about it at length.
My One and Only Love by Johnny Harmon and John Coltrane. I'm a sucker for like vocal jazz albums, and this is probably my favorite cut off of their collab album. And it just feels like musical dialogue between this saxophone riff as well as Johnny Harmon's vocals. It's a perfect marriage of musician and vocalist throughout the whole track. I love the fact that it takes so much time to sort of kick in terms of the vocals, because the first minute is really just the saxophone riff and these complementary piano keys. And I love the fact that on this song and throughout that whole album, they both get their shine equally. It's not like the vocalist is sort of at the forefront of the record. So very special song to me, and I just love the timeless love themes that you're finding all across the album.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely love that one. Perfect jazz harmony. But next up is going to be the last genre for today. This is going to be soul music, which is my second favorite genre, right next to hip hop. And I think that as the years have gone on, my brother's always been really big into soul. He's always been putting me on to different soul music through the vinyls that he would have at the house. And that's really how my love for it started, as well as me just going more and more into hip-hop over the years. When you realize how many hip-hop tracks at their foundation are rooted in soul music and sample and borrow from this genre, it's incredible. And soul music is sort of more on the micro level today. You don't really find that many mainstream soul records, even though there are still bands thriving like Duran Jones and The Indications and a couple of others. But when you're looking at soul music, I think your picks really need to be within that Motown era of the 60s and 70s, where you had the craziest roster of like Marvin Gaye and the Temptations and the Commodores and Stevie Wonder. Like, there's no better era to go to, bro. Because even stylistically, if, you know, for many years you had like the Funk Brothers that were sort of working behind the scenes, forming a lot of the production of those records. So it almost had its own cohesive style from album to album. But take me through some of your honorable mentions before I take you through mine.
All right, so Look What You've Done For Me by Al Green, all-time classic. That's one of my favorite soul songs of all time. More Love by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. That's another big one for me as well. I absolutely adore that song. Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder. That's one of my favorite soul songs of all time. But how about you? Any honorable mentions? What do you got?
Absolutely. Let's Stay Together by Al Green. Heard that in Pulp Fiction with the Band-Aid scene, and that was it. Classic that sold scene. Me. At Last by Etta James is an absolute classic, of course. Mercy, Mercy Me by Marvin Gaye. A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke, a song that I get chills listening to every time I hear it, because it's rooted within the civil rights movement, and it's just a very hopeful song. And that's something that always sort of gets me to feel warm inside, you could say. And then my ultimate number one was Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder, which was also on my top 10 songs list. Yeah. And he made me feel how I imagine myself feeling when I get my first like newborn kid. Like, he was able to capture that in music. So wholesome.
I kind of feel a similar, like not a similar type of sentiment, but like I'm right on the scene with this song, if that makes sense to you. And that's I Want You by Marvin Gaye, another song that I've talked about, where it's like, when you meet your first love, like boom, like nothing else like matters in life, you know? And that's what you feel like when you listen to I Want You, and just the Marvin Gaye vocals are absolutely incredible. And just the way that the production starts off. And when I heard Kendrick using it for the Heart Part 5, and when I realized that they did an interpolation version of the instrumental, I'm like, fuck yes.
Still need the Dr. Dre song though.
Yeah, that's it. Dr. Dre's drums behind this song sound crazy because it adds like a thumping bass to it, you know? Like it adds like a heartbeat almost to the track itself. And if you guys don't know what Lou is talking about, if you guys have ever watched the Defiant ones, Dr. Dre is working on, Marvin Gaye's like stems from his studio session for I Want You, which is one of his most iconic songs. But ultimately, yes, I went on with this one. I mean, again, just like right there with like the Kiss of Life, where like if you have to make a playlist of just love, just what does it mean at its purity, this would definitely be there for me. So, listen, guys, that's going to wrap up the episode. I mean, we mentioned a lot of the audio podcasts throughout the episode because we're doing a lot of episodes just like this over there. So, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys listen to your audio experiences, we are doing it right there, and it's exclusive to there. We don't release those episodes anywhere else. I mean, already, I think we were charting for what, like 42 weeks straight back in 2023. We're still charting right now. We peaked at number 2 in 2023. Hopefully, we reach number 1 in 2024.
Let's go for number 1
I
this
want to
year,
reach
baby.
a number 1 for music podcasts on Spotify.
Yes.
That would be absolutely incredible. So, with that being said, we're dropping them every single Tuesday. And if you guys want to follow the pages, they're available for you guys there. Again, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you guys can turn on the notifications. It'll notify you every single Tuesday when we drop that episode. Much love to everyone. And guys, let us know how we did, especially in the country category, because I was a bit oblivious. But much love for watching this. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.